Hello and welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast, brought to you every week by our sponsors tgstore.co.uk.
The home of Gore Bikewear, Gore Running Wear and Aquasphere wetsuits. You can get 10% off with the code Oxygenaddict10 and you can win a Gore bike or a Gore run jacket at tgstore.co.uk/oxygenaddict.
We're also brought to you by wearetribe.co.
Natural sports nutrition delivered direct to you. You can get a free trial pack of 6 delicious energy bars, trail mix, recovery bars and shakes for just £1 by using the code Oxygenaddict.
It's a no-brainer. And we're brought to you by our very own race team, team.oxygenaddict.com,
which offers event-specific training plans, coaching guidance from coach Rob Wilby.
That's me.
And supportive teammates in a private Facebook group.
And welcome to the show. Hells, how on earth are you today, my friend? Have you had a good week?
I have had a very good week, Rob. It's very strange recording now not in a camper van. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was. It was great fun, wasn't it? Yeah, so you put some pictures up on Twitter as well, didn't you? I mean, grinning like a goon. The painter did two thumbs up in the camper van.
It was good for a change, I think. So we're going to try and do that once in a while, aren't we?
Yeah, it was good fun, actually, if a little bit on the toasty side when the temperature was peaking 100 degrees.
Maybe more in winter.
Yeah, maybe.
But then we'll be freezing. We'll be sat there with like hats and gloves on.
Like, well, I did interviewed El Hairsign in the camper van all those years ago, and it was freezing. She's like, at least you could put the kettle on while we're in here.
Oh yeah, here we go. I've got my thermos flask.
Oh, bless. So let's have a look then. Go on. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I'm good. What have you been up to?
I have, get this, I've been for 2 open water swims in 2 days. I took advantage of the hot sun the last couple of days over the weekend. Got in the local swimming lake in my trunks. So sorry everybody, when I start swimming outdoors in my trunks, nobody else is allowed to wear a wetsuit anymore.
Oh my, you went in your trunks?
I did.
You went in.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You actually swam.
Somebody else from the Tri Club turned up as well and did like a double take and was like, "Oh, you're swimming." I was like, "Yeah, and you can't use your wetsuit because I'm in my trunks."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's quite well done.
It was bracing, I won't lie to you. It wasn't slate man cold for sure. It was all right when you got in though and you'd done a few strokes.
Yeah, but all the way through you're kind of thinking, I'm sure it's going to get a bit warmer. And you're
it was all right.
And then you just get a bit colder. I did it once in the Keys because I was really worried that Mallorca might be a non-wetsuit swim. And I thought, I better practice in case it is. And I think I did 2 laps and then just couldn't feel a thing. But your body gets used to it. If you always swim without a wetsuit, your body very, very much gets used to it. So really, we're all a bunch of wimps.
That's exactly it, yeah. We're a bunch of wimps. So there we go. That was me. I've done a bike ride and a run and stuff as well today, so getting back into it. And a little bit of... I interviewed Brian Fogarty a couple of days ago. He's going to be on next week, and such a good guy, so full of enthusiasm for life, and he really fired me up to do a triathlon. He was going, "You've got to come and do Ironman UK with me. Come on, it's just round the corner from you. I do it every year." And I got to the end of it, and I was like, yeah, I really fancy that again. So I dusted the bike off today and got out on that. And I thought I'd better go for a run as well, given the impending ultra run in 3 weeks' time. So I'm absolutely goosed right now.
At the end of your bike, Rob, did you think, "Yep, I enjoyed that," or
loved it? Yeah.
Really?
Loved every second of it. Yeah.
Rob, this is great news.
Loved every second of it. I'm back, baby. Bottrell, I'm coming for you.
Are you guys in the same age group?
I don't know, actually. I think we are right now. I think I'm a couple of years older than Matt. I think I'm going to age up next year. That was something else I realised. I go into the male 45 next season. So all of a sudden things get a little bit slower. So, quite fancy that.
I'm loving this news. This is brilliant. Okay, so hopefully 2018, if not before, Rob Wilby is going to be back on the start line for a triathlon.
Yeah, Rob Wilby's going to be back in anger next year. My plan is you're going to qualify for Kona this time at Wales, and I'll qualify at UK, and we'll both go together. We can sit next to each other on the plane.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's not happening, but thank you. Right.
Yeah, it's not happening because I've done one bike ride in 6 months.
What I did this weekend.
Go on, what did you get up to?
Well, we went to see friends down near Cardiff, and we did a bike ride on Saturday with, full-on cafe stop. In fact, 2 cafe stops. It was great. Sunday,
That's dedication to the coffee right there.
Yeah, it was great. We did an amazing run up in the hills, kind of going towards the valleys. Absolutely loved it. And then this morning, which is Bank Holiday Monday morning, I went swimming in the peeing rain in the Lido in Pontypridd. It was great.
Amazing. Outdoor?
Yep.
Oh, love it. How far is it?
It's 25-metre pool, and it's got about
one.
5 or 6 lanes. Heated, so it was about 28 degrees. No need for a wetsuit.
Heated outdoor pool?
Yeah.
God, that's rare as a rocking horse, you know what, isn't it, in this country?
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it.
That's super cool. Right, so this week, here we go, I've just decided this. On Twitter, we are at OA Tri Podcast on Twitter. Tweet us where you found outdoor swimming pools in the UK. That's what we want to know. Helen and Rob are going on tour.
Because, there are 2 outdoor pools nearish to us, aren't there? One of them is not heated at all, and I wouldn't be...
At Marbury?
Yeah. And then the other one's like a tin of tuna.
Where's that one?
Nantwich.
Oh, yeah.
It's a brine pool.
That's right. Yes, they had their triathlon there just the other week, didn't they?
Yeah, that was the first triathlon I did in the tuna water in Nantwich.
Kills all the germs. It's not tuna that makes it smell like that, mate.
But yeah, Stu, send us some photos. I know the one which I really like, Hampton down in London, is just stunning.
Really?
Yeah. So if you ever got any kind of business thing going on in London,
gotta go down and try that.
Get your bottom down to Hampton. It's really, really nice. So yeah, send us nice photos of outdoor pools.
Love it. Right, come on, let's crack on with the show then. Let's jump into race results from this week, who are sponsored by tgstore.co.uk. So we want you guys to support our sponsors, tgstore.co.uk. If you're looking for some nice comfortable cycling shorts, if you're looking for a new cycling outfit, if you're looking for a new running kit, if you are looking in particular for a rain jacket for these spring and summer storms that you know we're going to be getting, you can find no better place to get them than our sponsors, tgstore.co.uk. You get 10% off with the code Oxygenaddict10, and you get loads of really cool extras if you buy from them instead of one of the massive internet discounters, such as lifetime cover for the Gore-Tex fabric. They'll repair it free of charge if you send it back to them. Even if you're a numpty like me and Helen and you fall off your bike and you rip your jacket that way, they will still repair it free of charge for you. Now, in this day and age of internet retailing, people selling things extremely cheaply, it can be a bit of a bind to pay a little bit more, but TG Store go out the way, don't they, Hells, to give these extra values to make it worth your while to purchase right from the source.
They absolutely do. So check them out, tgstore.co.uk, and they'll even send you a bit of waterproof stuff, won't they, so you can actually waterproof your jacket.
Yeah, the reproofing sachet that comes free instead of some Haribo, which I personally think is a bit more useful. So there we go. Definitely. Cool stuff. Right, first news we've got to go to this week, Hells, has been the news from Ironman Brazil, where it was not hot and sunny, but we did have some lightning fast course times. You see what I did there?
Correct. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Essentially, it looked really, weather-wise, it looked pretty horrible out there. Like all the bikes on the course had all their lights on, didn't they?
Yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't matter about the weather because Tim Don was the man of the moment, Rob. He basically set a new Ironman branded, iron distance record in 7 hours 40 minutes and 23 seconds, a 25-minute winning margin.
It's unbelievable, that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think looking at the splits, I mean, there's never been any question about Tim Don's pedigree, and he's always been a guy who once a year or once every 2 years has produced a phenomenal performance that has just been, just zowed everything else he's done out of the park for that season. So he won the World Championships one year. He won, I'm going to say it's called High V. I'm not sure it actually was.
He did.
It
was High V.
Where he came out and it was 250 grand for the winner, wasn't it, on the line? and he came out and just wowed everybody with that. He's had a couple of other amazing performances along the way, and he's been super consistent since he moved up to 70.3 in Ironman racing. He had a really good season last year, didn't he, winning loads of stuff, but we've never seen him produce a wow performance until right now, and I think this has raised, I mean, it really has shown what he can do when he has the perfect race, hasn't it?
Totally. He must be on absolute cloud nine, because, you know, his swim, it was like a 44-minute swim. And then, Rob, the bit that, you know, we know because we've been speaking to Matt Bottrell lately, but that is the bit that is going to be so happy for Tim, for Matt, is the bike split. And his coach, Julie Dibbins, as well. He did a 4:06.56 bike split, and then a 2:44 marathon.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? The 4:06 on the bike is frighteningly fast, but to then run 2:44 off it on his own with nobody around him, and you've got to give the guy credit here, because he was performing for himself that day, wasn't he? He had a 20-odd minute lead off the bike, and it would have been easy for him. He could have still run like a 3-hour marathon, which had been jogging for him, and still have won it by 10 minutes. So he was clearly out to sort of, I like to think, for the joy of seeing how fast his little body would go, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, it's just, it's ace, isn't it? And the sort of the only guy to go faster over an iron distance was Jan Frodeno at Challenge Roth last year, Rob. He did 7:35, so what, just under 5 minutes faster than Tim Don in Florianopolis. But yeah,
you've got, I think Tim Don's got a 2:39 marathon in him off the bike with some more competition. Yeah. If you imagine you get him at a Roth or an Austria where there's people around him to push him on, there's no question I think he's like a 28.5 minute 10k runner, or a high 28 10k runner. He was seriously good running pedigree. So all that work he's done with Botti on the bike has paid off, especially I think the thing that people don't realise is the amount of work that's gone in the wind tunnel fine-tuning his position that Matt and the guys have worked with him on, and that's all come to fruition there. And it's also shown he can clearly run off the bike off a crazy fast bike split as well, can't he?
Yeah, absolutely. No, brilliant, stunning victory. And I think, Rob, I was going to see, he posted something on Twitter, and I'm going to bring it up right now because it was really cool, just before the race.
Yeah.
And he sort of said about how he was looking forward to it, and he had a quote which I really liked, and it said, here we go: "Someone once told me not to bite off more than I can chew. I said I'd rather choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity."
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I like that. And then afterwards, he said, "Came here to fight for the win and got a pretty fast time to boot, still in shock." And just sort of 4 images of him throughout the day. They're really, really cool. So great work to Tim Don. And Rob, it was a double British win on the top of the podium, wasn't it?
It was. Susie Cheetham finally gets her Ironman victory, doesn't she?
Absolutely. So when we spoke to her a few weeks ago, she was talking about going out to Brazil. There was a little bit of her that had said, "I'm not totally sure." But yeah, absolutely delighted for Susie. She had a great swim, just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Down on Hayley Chura, who's like well known to be
rock star swimmer.
Absolutely. So yeah, literally 2.5 minutes down on that.
So did she swim? She swam 50 minutes flat, or 50 minutes 30.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, it was a fast swim looking at the men's times, but still, she's going to get a massive amount of confidence from that. She can swim with a lead pack, no question now, can't she?
Totally. And again, we heard from, we spoke to Mark Threlfall the other day at Outlaw, and Susie goes to his squad in Bath, doesn't she, for some of her swim training. So they've been working really hard on that, and obviously with her husband Rob as well. So yeah, she's been working her butt off. So it's brilliant to see her come through and take that. It's a championship race as well, isn't it? So take that championship win. What was her bike, Rob? It was 4:53 on the bike.
4:53. So solid under the 5-hour mark, which is a very, very good bike split on that course as well. And it looks like it came down to a run battle in the end, doesn't it?
Yep. And she basically put in a brilliant run as well. She did a 3:02, so absolutely fantastic win for Susie, who she got at 8:52, so comfortably under 9 hours there, 8:52 flat. Sonja Tadic of Germany was second in 8:57, and then Hayley Chura, who had been, it was her and Cheatham who had been sort of having a bit of a battle, finished third in 8:58.
Cool. Men's race, Tim Dunn took it out in 7:40 and 23 seconds. Cal Buckingham in second in 8:05 and Igor Amorelli in third in 8:06. Yeah, awesome. Good stuff. Right.
Rob, can I add one more thing to our little IM Brazil? You know when I did that little triathlon when I was in Pallant?
Yep.
Yep. So one of the guys who I did that with finished Ironman Brazil yesterday or at the weekend.
What's his name?
I think he did 10 hours something. So well done, Giuliano.
Oh, very cool. Love it.
Right, well, let's go to, should we mention Madrid next, the World Cup?
Yeah, let's do the World Cup next. And a victory for hometown girl for us, Georgia Taylor-Brown. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Because sometimes, Rob, at the local 5Ks, I've noticed before her name like way up the results list, and you're like, shit, that's quick.
Yeah, Georgia Taylor-Brown usually passes me at about the 1 mile point in those 5Ks after I've gone off too quick.
Yeah. And in the race in the World Cup in Madrid, Rob, she did a 38:09 run.
Oh, good, yeah. I think. Do you know what though? The way that I've seen her running, she's run high 16 minutes in those 5Ks around Sale. So she's probably capable of running. I'd say she's capable of running in the 34s off the bike right now. So maybe not in this race, but she's the real deal run-wise. And her swim and her bike are absolutely without question as well. So what strength and depth the UK have got at the moment, hey?
Isn't it great? Yeah, because so Georgia Taylor-Brown got this one. Non-Stanford won in China, didn't she? Lucy Hall had won earlier this season as well. So they've had like 3 out of 5 GB wins in the World Cups in 2017. So that is awesome. So Georgia Taylor-Brown got the win in 2:08. She was pretty much 50 seconds clear of second, who was Taylor Spivey of the USA, and then Chelsea Burns, another American, third in 2:09. So great work there at the World Cup in Madrid. And then staying in Spain, Rob, but nearer to Barcelona, we had Challenge Salou or Half Challenge Salou. And this was, they had changed the course a bit this year. I think it was 4 laps on the bike that they had to do. But another impressive win from David McNamee in 3:26, 2 minutes ahead of Emilio Munoz, and then James Kanama third in the men's race. In the women's, it was won by Sarah Loa in 3:59. Friend of the show, Nikki Bartlett, brilliant, second place for her,
awesome.
4 hours, and then Erica Cosmo of Hungary was third in 4:05. So brilliant racing there from David McNamee and Nikki Bartlett to get more GB people on the podium.
Yeah, great stuff. I think it was a little bit short, this race, by the look of things, wasn't it?
Was it? Was it a bit short?
I think so. It's only a 20k run, and David McNamee did 1:54 on the bike, which, I mean, he's a rock star rider, but there's rock star riding and there's rock star riding, isn't there? So maybe it's a little bit shorter than. So anybody who wants to get a really fast time, that's the race to go to.
Brilliant. Awesome work. So, Rob, I think that's about it, isn't it?
That's our results for this week for sure. It is indeed. Right. Should we jump over to Coach's Couch?
Yeah, which is brought to you by Team Oxygenaddict.
Yeah, so you'll have seen Helen running around up and down in photos on social media, and lots of athletes in our Team Oxygenaddict kit. If you're interested in joining Team Oxygenaddict, all the information that you need is over on the website, which is at team.oxygenaddict.com. Long story short, you get training plans specific to you and the event you're taking part in. You get to contact me and the other coaches and all the other athletes in a private Facebook group. We have a video call with me once a month and all kinds of other cool stuff as well, discounts on kit and discounts on other retailers and things. So if you're looking for some coaching guidance, you can go over there and check that out. And the question we've had this week has been sent in from Stuart. Is it Stuart Ross? Stu Ross Leeds on Twitter.
Yep, he says, so he's had 9 days of being ill with a chest infection, haven't done any training, and he says, have I lost my race fitness? How should I recover? Should I come back slowly, or should I come back with a bang?
Well, it depends how close he is to his race. I think that's what he doesn't say, doesn't it? But I mean, regardless of that, the first bit of advice I'm going to say to anybody with a proper chest infection, and it sounds like he's had one with 9 days of it, is don't mess about trying to come back too quickly, because you can properly give yourself like a heart infection by trying to come back and train hard when you're really ill like that. When you've got a chest infection, your cardiovascular system is completely compromised. You can't get oxygen in, you can't get carbon dioxide out. You've got all kinds of gunk inside your lungs, for want of a better term. And I mean, the proper chest infections, you get high temperatures and the night sweats, and your body kind of tries to superheat itself to kill the infection off, doesn't it? Regardless of whether you're on antibiotics or not. So it's one of the things that I'm super careful and cautious around with people. You know, I've known people who've got pneumonia after trying to train with chest infections. So I'd be super careful coming back from it. So that answers the kind of do I come back slowly or with fireworks question. The rule I always give my athletes is always give it 2 days after you feel like you'd be perfectly fine to train today before you train. And this advice goes absolutely double for when you've had a proper chest infection. So I'm not talking about you wake up and you go, oh, do you know what? I feel all right now. I think I'll go out for a run. That's not being well again. It's when you've got to the point where you're completely convinced that you're well, then you give yourself another 2 days after a chest infection, and then you're going to give yourself 7 days of totally easy training, all zone 1 stuff, where you're going to start on the bike, you're going to stay out of the pool, you start on the bike and do really easy spins and just get your legs moving around. And sometimes you find, even though you feel that your chest is better, just starting to raise your heart rate a bit might make you feel a bit weird or funny. It might bring the coughs on. So you've got to be sure and convinced that you're totally well before you do anything. And then you can ease into the running towards the back end of those 7 days, really gentle jogging in zone 1 or slower than e-pace. And then after those 7 days, get back into the pool for a very gentle swim. And the reason for that is we want to try and keep you away from the germs that are in the pool while your immune system's compromised. But yeah, so that's my advice, Stu. It's unpleasant. I'm sure everybody listening has had a chest infection at some point, and we know what it's like when you're desperate to come back training, but the only way through this is to rest. You can't do any kind of training at all. It's not like having a head cold where you can do a little bit still. You've got to really look after yourself so you don't get a proper serious illness.
Sensible advice, Rob.
I got a chest infection 4 weeks before the London Marathon, the year that I did it, in 2009, I think.
And I imagine for a few days you probably panicked and you're like, oh, no. And you probably tried to go outside and then...
No, not. I was so ill with it. I couldn't. I was off work for 7 straight days. I was in bed with a temperature. It was feeling like death illness. And that part's easy to manage because you can't even walk to the toilet without your head spinning, you know. The problem is it's the 7 days after that when you then go, I've got the London Marathon in 3 weeks. Shall I just try and go out for a run? That's the really hard bit where you've got to manage the recovery, and if you go back too soon, you're just going to get sick again.
So take your time.
Oh yeah, take your time.
And listen to your body.
Which actually eases us beautifully into our interview of the week. Taking your time to get over injuries ties in perfectly with this week's interview with Lucy Charles, doesn't it?
Brilliant. Yes, it does, because she was injured for quite a lot last year, wasn't she?
Most of her last year, and she talks a lot about this in the interview. Most of last year was written off with various running injuries in particular. But boy, oh boy, did she make use of the time to get strong on the bike. Now, our interview of the week is brought to you by our sponsor, Tribe, and you can find them at wearetribe.co. They're an easy company to push, right? Because their product is brilliant, it's delicious, it's all natural, loads of it is mostly vegan friendly as well, so there's nothing in there except really good raw fruits and vegetables. They're a great company, they've got a great attitude, they make a great product, and you can try all their stuff out for simply £1 by going to their website, signing up for their free sample box or their sample box that should be £9, and you get it for £1 with the code Oxygenaddict. It couldn't be simpler, could it, Hells?
No, it couldn't be. I did it, and I got 6 yummy bars in the post. And I think previously I have tried their trail mix, Rob. This weekend, by the way, I did put a tri bar in my pocket, the beetroot one. I was a little bit like, not sure about beetroot in a bar. Delicious.
Good, isn't
It's
it?
really good.
Yeah, really good. And it's got all that red blood cell stuff in there for you as well, which is great, isn't it?
Yep, so I really enjoyed that. And then the trail mix, I think I had their cacao and banana. Oh, it was so good.
Oh, it's great stuff. They've got 4 different trail mixes. They've got Sahara Trail, Cape Trail, Scarfell Trail, and the Hadrian Trail. All of them different ones you can try with different mixes of good fats, carbohydrates, and fibre. They're all vegan, gluten-free, and dairy-free, made from the highest quality natural ingredients. So just get on there and check it out. If you haven't got yourself a box for £1 yet, you're missing out big time. And if I was you, I'd be registering a second email address to get a second box as well. It's that good. I'm still waiting for mine to arrive. I'm doing this. I'll talk to you about this afterwards, actually. But I'm doing a trail marathon this weekend, and Tribe are sponsoring it, so I'm hoping there'll be some free goodies on the course, actually.
Well, you're just going to be like drowning in Tribe, but there's no problem about drowning in Tribe because it's delicious.
I'm going to be filling the backpack.
Yeah.
Can I have some more of these? Oh, brilliant. All right, so here we go then. Over to our interview for this week with the amazing winner of Ironman Lanzarote, the lovely Lucy Charles. Lucy, welcome back onto the podcast. How are you doing today after your amazing weekend out in Lanzarote?
Hi, Rob. Oh, yeah, thank you very much for having me back on. I'm feeling really good. I've just got home from Lanzarote, so I think it's slowly starting to sink in.
I bet. I mean, it must be quite a lot for you to take in, because I was having a little look back here, and we last had you on the show. It was almost exactly a year ago when you'd just finished third at Lanza, and you were blown away by the fact that you'd done that. So what an amazing year it's been for you, hasn't it, so far, in terms of like the training that you must have done, but the couple of results you've had this year, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's been a fantastic start to the year. I did a lot of work over the winter, but I always seem to not be sure how much I've progressed or what results I'm going to be able to achieve or put together. So I'm over the moon with the string of results I've had already this year.
Right, so let's start by talking about Lanzarote, and then we'll work backwards, really, because we'll kind of try and help the listeners piece together what they can do in their training to copy Lucy Charles. Was it 35 minutes faster you went this year at Lanza than the year before?
Yes, 35 minutes, something crazy like that.
Wow. All right, so listen, talk us through the day from the start then, because obviously you're known as a total rock star swimmer. You're from a sort of the Olympic long distance training squad as your background, so you're always going to be one of the strongest swimmers, if not the strongest swimmer, possibly out of the entire field, let alone the ladies. Did the swim go the way you were hoping it to in Lanza?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I hadn't raced a full Ironman since Ironman Lanzarote last year, so I sort of went in thinking I don't want to go too hard on the swim because I'm not sure how I'm going to fare for the rest of the day. So I took the swim pretty steady and decided that I'd just sit in with the lead pack of men and kind of let them do all the work and stay out of trouble, which really paid off because they were swimming fast. So I didn't really need to go any quicker than I think we did a low 47 minutes. So a pretty decent swim to start off the day. And I felt pretty relaxed coming out of the water, which was quite nice when you know you've got a pretty big day ahead of you on the island. So the bike, I would always say, is my weakest discipline. So
not anymore.
I was feeling good though on the bike, and sort of I had a race plan to just stick to a certain amount of watts and try and keep that consistent throughout, and I was managing to do that. So I knew I was riding how I kind of planned to ride, but it had been a while since, apart from in training, I'd ridden that distance in a race. So I still didn't want to go too crazy. There were times where I thought maybe I am biking a little bit too hard, and it's obviously a marathon run at the end. But I got onto the run, and the atmosphere at the start of the run is absolutely unreal. It's just crazy. So I think my first kilometre was under 4 minutes or something that I shouldn't be doing on the Ironman marathon. But it didn't feel like I was going that quick, just because everyone is cheering your name and you just feel great. So yeah, I probably went off a little bit too fast and then did settle down a bit, but it was really, really hot on that marathon. They had changed the course from last year, so the first little or long loop was 15 kilometres out and then 15 kilometres back, and that actually made it a hell of a lot harder. It was much more of a mental challenge, I think, doing it that way. But yeah, I managed to suck it up and stick it out and take the win, so I'm absolutely delighted with it.
Yeah, I bet you must be. It was I mean, it's been a real massive step up in performance, hasn't it? We said you were 35 minutes faster than last year, and last year was already a really good performance. You were knocking on the door of 10 hours, which at Lanzarote is an amazing performance there. But so to come back, it sounds like you almost didn't realise what great bike shape you were in, because to put out, I think from memory, it was 5:23 on the bike, wasn't it, that you did?
Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, it's quite a big improvement on the bike course.
Yeah, it really is, and obviously it'll suit you being hilly and windy and stuff like that. The hillier it is, the more it's going to suit an athlete with your build. But did you have any idea going into it that you were going to bike that kind of speed?
Definitely not. I mean, I had done a lot of training out in Lanzarote, and I do really know the bike course out there, and I do like the climbs, and a hilly course, as you say, definitely suits my build and is what I like. But I could never have said I was going to bike anywhere near that time. I kind of looked at last year's time and thought, well, if you can maybe go a little bit quicker than that, depending on the weather conditions, then I was happy with last year's bike time. So yeah, I have put in a hell of a lot of work on the bike, but I didn't realise just how much I'd improved on that part.
Yeah, amazing. And talk us through a little bit about, I'm interested in kind of how the experience is for you coming out of the water, because it's going to be totally unique, right? You're way ahead of any other lady there. You're in and amongst the lead male pro pack. How's your experience of riding along when you must have been out in, like, I don't know, third or fourth or something like that overall? How was it? Fairly lonely out on the bike course for most of the day?
I mean, it's quite surreal in a way, because I kind of am expected to be first out the swim, especially in the women's field. So I'm leading from the start, and it almost feels like it's kind of my race to lose in that respect, because I do start off with the lead. There's a hell of a lot of male pros that were racing in Lanzarote, so quite a few of them came past on the bike, and some were giving me some encouragement, which was always nice. Yeah, so it wasn't too lonely out there. Obviously, my fiance Reese was also racing, so I was trying to judge when he was going to come past, because I remember the point when he came past last year, and then I was starting to panic, because I was thinking, well, he still hasn't come past, so has something happened to him in the swim? And I couldn't actually relax until he had gone past me and I knew he was okay. So that's also kind of like a strange element, I guess, in the race, that I'm waiting for him to go past so I know that he's all right as well.
That's interesting. So you were actually like quite concerned about him mentally for the first few hours of the bike course, hey?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a long way into the course that he actually went past.
I was going to say, because I think you put 3 minutes into him in the swim this year. And then last year, I remember you saying, well, he caught me fairly quickly on the bike. But then this year, he only biked about 5 minutes faster than you, didn't he, this year?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite funny, because he was sort of just ahead once he'd gone past, I thought, that's it, I'm not going to see him again. And he was obviously sticking to his own race plan. And for quite a lot of it, he was only just ahead of me. So the photographers, I know James Mitchell really well. He's one of the photographers on the island. He was saying he's just ahead of you. Like, you can catch him up. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not doing that, because I'm going to be in big trouble if I do that. So I'm just going to stick to my plan. And yeah, hopefully he's feeling all right and he'll stay ahead of me.
Nice. And then when you got onto the run, did you at this point have any idea of the splits and how far ahead you were, and how was it mentally for you at that point?
So I had a rough idea of the time split. I think it was possibly almost 20 minutes to second place. So I knew I had quite a good cushion. but I wasn't sure what my running legs were going to be like. The longest run I'd done leading into this race was 130-kilometre run. So in truth, I would have liked to have done a few more longer runs. Obviously, the 2 half distances before, I knew I'd be able to run a good half marathon. So I was kind of trying to work out in my head what sort of times the likes of Corinne and Lucy Gostage could run, and what sort of time I'd have to run to be safe. So it was still scary, because you've got a big lead, and then you almost feel like you're expected to win it. And I had my mum and dad out there supporting, and my really one of my best friends, and they're going, you're going to win it, you're going to win it. And I'm like, I'm 3k into the run, but anything can happen. So please stop, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like, the leg's going to fall off, you just don't know. So I feel like I managed to stay pretty relaxed, which is quite a good feeling, and a good confidence booster, that I can kind of stay calm and hold it together. So I'm pretty happy in that respect.
Yeah, it must be a funny situation to know that you've got like a 20-minute cushion. Sounds massive, and you can almost go, well, it's nearly a minute a mile. That's, you're 3 miles up the road before the next person's even started running, and you can see how your family would think that you've got it locked down. But we both know there are so many stories of people just, you can have a meltdown on the marathon. It could take 4.5, 5 hours to finish even, couldn't it? So.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, so much can go wrong on that run. So I think obviously stomach issues, it was extremely hot, so you had to make sure you were nailing your nutrition, and obviously it's a long old way, that run.
Yeah, sure. Right, so I want to go forwards and talk about what's going to happen in the rest of the year, but before we do that, you also had an amazing race just a few weeks ago at Challenge Puerto Mogan, where, I'm going to let you tell the story, because if people haven't heard it, I've only read about it. I wasn't there to watch, but that sounds like it was one of the races of the year.
It was obviously my season opener. So again, I didn't know where I was. I knew I was in good shape, because I could look back on the training I'd done, and it was all positive. But I think it was only the week before Challenge release that Daniella was racing, and I almost sent I think I sent a message straight away to my parents saying, oh no, I've got to race her again, because obviously I'd raced in Dubai in January against her, and I thought, oh, that's almost a foregone conclusion that Daniella's got the win, so
understandable.
I'd be fighting for a different position. So that was obviously the biggest name in the race, and obviously Alistair was racing in the men's field, so that did get a lot more hype around the race, which was quite exciting, that it was going to be followed really well.
Yeah, well, it certainly had massive media interest because of those two names racing, and it's interesting for me that you've definitely made that shift over the last season. You're now going to races and you're expecting to win, and there's only a few people you're intimidated by. Daniella Ryf, I imagine, being one of them, but you're expecting to be up there in and amongst the mix for the win straight away, whereas last year you were a bit like, oh, it's this amazing thing, I'm up on the podium, and now you're going, yep, I'm a pro and I'm here to win.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at Gran Canaria, the goal was obviously when Daniella Ryf, I found out she was racing, I was thinking, well, it's going to be second or third, but then there's some other good names there, so you might only be looking at top 5. Then after the result in Gran Canaria, I started to change my way of thinking and think, actually, maybe contending for the winning races is possible.
Yeah, very much so. So you came out of the water in front of Daniella Ryf. What was going through your mind as you started the bike course then? Was it like a how far down the road can I get kind of deal?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great course in Gran Canaria because it was an out and back course, so you could always see where you was. So it was me sort of thinking, how soon is she going to be right behind me? So I managed to make it to the first turnaround point, which I think was only about 5 kilometres away, and then you would go back to the swim start. And I'd made it to 5 kilometres, which I was fairly with. I've got 5 kilometres on the bike. And then I could see Daniella coming up the road. And she did eventually overtake, probably at about 7 kilometres into the bike. And I thought that I was feeling really good. And when she went past, she didn't go past how I expected her to. I thought that she would come past extremely fast to try and make me think, oh, well, that's her gone. And she didn't really overtake like that. So I felt that I could go a bit faster. So I decided, you know what, I want to put my little marker down and say, well, I'm here to race today. So I did actually go back in front of her, which didn't go down too well. I think she shouted something like, oh, you stop drafting or something like that. And I was
right,
like,
okay.
Well, I'm not drafting because I've come back in front of you. And I think that got her fired up because on the next descent she came whizzing past, which was where I expected her to overtake, because if you're going to overtake on a fast descent, you make it look like you're travelling a lot quicker. So I did think that would be the last I would see of her on the day when she went past.
And go on, how did the rest of it play out then? I want to hear this story in your mind at this point.
So, I knew I was biking well. I was holding on to second place. Again, my other half, Reese, was racing. So when he came past, he said, "You're biking really, really well," which was nice and reassuring to know. The bike course in Gran Canaria was actually really technical, and this concerned me a little bit as I only recce'd part of the course sort of a few times on one of the most technical descents. But we had to do that 4 times. So my confidence grew on every lap and I started to feel stronger and stronger. I was managing to maintain the sort of time gap on second and third place. And then I could see I was gaining ground on some of the pros that were slightly further back down the field. So that was quite a nice confidence boost. So yeah, the bike course was 4 laps out and back. And when I made the turn to do the last lap, I noticed that the gap between me and Daniella had got a fair bit smaller. At the time, I didn't know what had happened. At the end, we found out that she had come in a lap early to go on to the run.
Right, okay.
She'd also tipped out all of her drink and nutrition because she thought that she was coming into the end. So it turns out she had to ride about 20 kilometres without a drink, which you don't want to do when it's a fairly hot race.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
But yeah, at the time I didn't know that. So when I came in off of the bike, they said that I think Daniella was roughly a minute or so ahead. Again, I thought, well, yes, she's a minute ahead. That's great. Like, I'm not going to close down any time on her. If anything, she's going to expand that gap. So I started the run. I remember quite vividly someone saying, just enjoy it, like just enjoy the run, like you're in second behind Daniella Reef. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to try and enjoy it as much as I can. I think it wasn't until the 3rd lap that people were starting to say, you're gaining on Daniella, like there's only about a 30-second gap now. And I started to wonder what was going on, really, because I thought, wow, I really did not expect this. At the same time, I could see other Brit Pallant, who obviously is an absolutely incredible runner. I could see her closing the gap behind me as well. So part of me was obviously absolutely delighted I'm closing in Daniella Reef, but then I also knew I had the presence of Emma Pallant behind me, so that was exciting in both respects, really.
Yeah, because on the one hand you're closing down a world champion, and then you've got this super uber runner in Emma coming up behind you like a train. Right, come on, how did it play out? Come on, how did this work out for you?
So on the second half of the 3rd lap, I made the move and overtook Daniella. I thought that it was going to be a similar play out to how it was on the bike when I went past her, that she was going to go, hang on a minute, no, and go back in front. That was not the case. When I did the other turnaround at the bottom of the course, I saw that she wasn't really anywhere, so I knew that she was probably out of the running for the win. But again, I think Emma Pallant at that stage was probably only about 18 seconds behind. So I knew I had one last lap to try and hang on for this win that I'd suddenly gone into. When I reached the last turnaround, I think Emma was probably 10 seconds behind, and we had probably about 2k to run. It wasn't until the last kilometre that Emma came past, and I didn't know how she was feeling, but I knew I was on the absolute limit. I still wanted to try and fight all the way to the end, which I know I did, and came right down to the wire of only 6 seconds for Emma ahead of me. So really, really exciting race to start off the year.
Oh, amazing! What a shame you couldn't quite hang on. But what an amazing start to the season for you. You know, overtaking Daniella head to head with Emma Pallant, she's probably arguably the best runner, I think, in 70.3 at the moment, isn't she?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
And then obviously you go on Lanzarote, you take the win. So how's your confidence now? It sounds like it's only been a couple of days as we're doing this interview, but you must be going through a kind of shift in your head in a major way at the minute, right?
Yeah, it's quite a strange one. I mean, even when I was in the build-up to Lanzarote, a lot of people were saying that I was one of the race favourites, and I was kind of saying, really? Like, how can you have me down as one of the race favourites? I've only done one full Ironman as a pro, and obviously I'd had 2 good results leading into it. So that was quite strange to hear that in my head. At the moment, I always feel like I'm the underdog when I go into a race, and I probably would always like to try and think like that, because if you train like the underdog, then you're going to race a lot better. So, but there's definitely confidence building in knowing that my ability is there, and I'm not just a swimmer anymore. So that's quite nice.
Oh, well, there's no question. I mean, if you just objectively look at the numbers now and you go, Lucy Gossage has posted one of the best female time trial times over 100 miles in this country. And, you know, you were, 5-6 minutes up the road from her on a course that suits her. So your biking has gone from being what you considered to be not very strong to all of a sudden you're an Uber biker, mate. There's no question. I mean, you've got to take that in, really, at this point. You are a female Uber biker.
Yeah, it definitely sounds quite strange hearing that. So, but nice in the same way.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens for you, I think, for the rest of the year, because you said you run at Lanzarote, you knew you had this kind of big gap. You know, you had Corinne Abraham chasing you down, and you've got to be said, fair play to her. She ran 3:03 in that heat, which is an amazing marathon performance, isn't it? But I mean, you've still had...
I mean, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You still had a 10-minute cushion at that point, so I'm interested to see how fast you could have gone on the run if you'd been in a battle and you'd been being pushed in that kind of heat, because 3:18's no slouch off a bike that fast. What do you reckon you could have... Have you got a feeling for what you could have done if you'd had to push yourself?
Oh, it's so hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I went out very strong. I think my first 5 kilometres was around 22 minutes. So it was a really, really solid start to the run. I didn't really start to relax until around 12 kilometres to go, when I knew the time gap Corinne would have to be taking quite a huge chunk out per kilometre to close the gap. I knew as long as I wasn't going to slow down to almost a walk, it was fairly possible. And then with roughly, I think about 6k to go when you did the last turn back, I knew I could do it. I do struggle to completely relax until I've crossed that line, though, because you just know anything can happen, and they could be suddenly dropping their pace down to something crazy, even though it's probably ridiculous on an Ironman marathon. But I reckon probably if I'd had to, I could have run slightly faster. But yeah, I'd be interested to see in the future what sort of run I could do if I am under more pressure.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one, I reckon. So Kona this year, is that the next big event, or have you got another Ironman lined up between now and then?
So Lanzarote gave me a total of 2,000 Kona points, Roughly looking at the rankings, I'm going to need more like 4,000 Kona points. So that's kind of what I'm looking at now, is how's the best way of trying to get to Kona without doing too much to get there. So it's either going to be trying to do a full Ironman and do it really, really well, or possibly a couple of 70.3s, do well in those to get the points. So Kona's definitely where I want to get to. Obviously, Reece is racing in Kona. I spectated him last year, which was fantastic, but I was itching to be racing, so I'd like to be joining him on the start line this time.
Well, I mean, the numbers looking at this here, I've got a bit of statty geek stuff up in the background here. I don't know if you know this. Did you know you broke the course record on the bike for women at Lanzarote?
So during the race, I had no idea. It wasn't until I finished. I think my dad said to me, you broke the bike course record. And I was like, you're having a laugh, aren't you? And he was like, no, like, obviously you've been putting the work in and you've done it. You've broke the bike course record. So, yeah, I mean, I could never have predicted I would have done that.
Well, I mean, so you're now the course record holder on the swim, which you broke your own record this year again. You're the course record holder on the bike, and you were only 7 minutes away from Rachel Joyce's overall course record, which was 9:28. Which she set in 2011 when she was in astonishing form. So, I mean, I'm thinking, what's going to happen when you go out to Kona with this kind of swim and bike now? The course it's hot, it's hilly, you race well in the heat. There's going to be other girls around you to push you on. If we're going to get to see how you really run in a marathon in competition, it's going to be there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably highly likely that would be when I'd have to put in a really, really solid run performance. So yeah, it's extremely exciting. Yeah, I don't get there.
Great stuff. Now, the other thing about this that you mentioned just before the interview is it right that you don't have a bike sponsor at the moment, having just broken the bike course record at Lanzarote?
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking for a bike sponsor.
Unreal.
I managed to a good friend of mine, the photographer James Mitchell. We got my bike logoed up with sort of my little logo and my website on it. So that made it look really, really cool. But obviously, I would absolutely love to have a bike sponsor. So yeah, fingers crossed we can sort something out.
Well, so if there's any major bike manufacturers listening, that you've got to be a nailed on sponsorship opportunity. You're going to be out in front in the lead in Kona on the telly. There's a bike, there's advertising to be had right there, isn't there?
You think so?
You would think so. Fingers crossed, eh? If I knew any bike manufacturers, mate, I'd be phoning them on your behalf right now, I tell you. So what are the race plans from now on in? Have you not decided whether you're going to do, or not decided what your 70.3 or Ironman plans are between now and Kona?
I mean, initially, this season was the European Challenge sort of circuit. Obviously, I've done 2 challenge races already this season in Gran Canaria and Lisbon. So the next race for me is going to be the Challenge Championship race in about 9 days' time, I think. So not a long turnaround from this race. That's in Slovakia. It looks like it's going to be an incredible race. There's a strong field out there. Alistair is racing there as well, so there should be good coverage on that. Then a week later, I plan on doing the Challenge Denmark, which is the European Championship. So they've spaced them well with the Worlds and Europeans within a week of each other.
Because who needs more than 6 days recovery, right?
Tough. Yeah, so that will test. And then following weekend, there is the option of 70.3 Staffordshire or the European Ironman 70.3. So it could potentially be 3 weekends back-to-back racing. I'll judge it by how I'm feeling. Obviously, if I feel like I'm too tired, then I'll have to change my plans a little bit. But yeah, it seems like it's all go at the moment, which is, I'm not complaining. I love racing, so it's all very exciting.
Good. Oh, great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing how you go there then. I think you should get on your tri-suit on the front, I think you should get "I don't have a bike" sponsor printed on, and then see if somebody notices. This space for hire. It's insane that nobody's picked you up. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, now I've had 3 kind of quite solid results. They'll look and see, okay, I don't think it's a fluke that she's started to ride her bike properly now.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll take a punt on me.
Yeah, fingers crossed, eh? Hey, well, listen, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I know you've got up early after flying back from Lanzarote, so that's very much appreciated, and we will be watching the upcoming races with great interest to see how you get on, Lucy. And congratulations, you've also worked exceptionally hard over the winter, and it's great to see it paying off.
Oh, thank you so much, Rob. It's a pleasure to be on your show. So, yeah, thank you very much.
All right, well, we'll have you back on when you're Kona champion, yeah? Deal?
Deal, okay.
Cheers then. I'm telling you right now, Hells, we have got a future Ironman world champion right there. If she keeps herself injury free, there's no question in my mind. She's got the natural talent, she's got the hard work attitude, and what has she done to her bike over the past year and a half? That's mind blowing, isn't it?
It is absolutely, amazing. And Rob, I know that I wanted to talk about Lucy as well via another Lucy, because Lucy Gossage had written in her post-race blog from Lanzarote. So obviously Lucy Gossage finished 3rd, and she says here, so it echoes what you just said there. It's actually very special for me to see Lucy Charles showing just a glimpse of her potential. I first met her a couple of years ago, and she could, quite honestly, hardly ride a bike. Since then, I've got to know her and her partner Reese quite well, and they're 2 of the loveliest people I've met in triathlon. Seeing her completely outclass me on a tough bike course like Lanza is something phenomenal. The whole way round, I was pushing and pushing on my Simplon, which I absolutely love, by the way, that's her bike, hoping I'd have clawed back at least a minute or so. But she just kept putting time into me, whatever I tried. I was riding well on a super fast bike, but it just wasn't good enough. Lucy was simply immense, and I would absolutely love to see her go all the way in the next few years. And then in brackets, I'd still like her scalp just once more before she comes world champion, though this may be a dream.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? What a lovely thing to write. And like to underline the class of this, I didn't know this fact when I did the interview, but I since read that the bike course record that she broke belonged to Paula Newby-Fraser. So, I mean, wowzers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Keep up the good work, Lucy.
Keep up the good work. And we've got more goodness as well coming next week from Ironman Lanzarote, where we've got an interview coming. I mentioned it earlier with Brian Fogarty, who was the overall age group champion at Lanzarote and finished 11th overall. And I've got to say, it's been one of my favourite interviews that I've done in ages. He's such a happy, funny chap, and we had a real laugh doing that interview. So listen out for that one that's coming next week. All right, so on to the news section, hey?
Yep, brought to you by our patrons.
Yeah, we've not mentioned our patrons for a while, so we thought we'd give you a shout out and say thank you very much for being patrons. If you're interested in supporting the show with a financial contribution, you can choose between £2 a month, £5 a month and £10 a month, or even make an annual contribution. We're dead grateful. It helps keep the show clear of hundreds of adverts, and Helen and I really appreciate it, don't we, basically, Hells?
Yep, very much. So, should we start off, Rob, with the news that Ali Brownlee is going to race Challenges the Championship, which is this coming weekend in Slovakia. So that is brilliant because, Rob, it's going to be such a good field. It sounds like a really, really amazing race. So he has signed up to that. I know
they've done a great job, haven't they, of pulling together a massive field and putting a lot of, because it's easy to go with having a world championships, but there you go, they're having their own championships, but they've put the money behind it and they've got the people there, so it's got this massive event feel, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they're actually going to do like really good coverage of it. Can you remember when they launched the Triple Crown, and actually the coverage of it was really, really good?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I imagine it'll be coverage pretty similar.
Well, they do a really good job
so,
at Roth as well, don't they? So you know it's going to be coverage on the same scale as that.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, they're doing live streaming, which is just brilliant. Who else is going to be racing? Here you go. In terms of Brits, Rob.
Yeah.
Emma Pallant, Lucy Charles, Kim Morrison, Skippers Down, Will Clark are all on the provisional start list. And then Lionel Sanders, Sebi Keenley, Andreas Dreitz, Michael Raylott, Richard Murray, Ellie Salthouse on there, Kaiser Lehtinen, Annabelle Luxford, Heather Wurtell, Laura Siddle's heading out there. So it's going to be really quite cool to follow that one.
Rich Murray and Richard Varga are both racing as well. So you really have got, probably for arguably the first time in a long time, you've got the ITU superstars showing up to race against the middle and long distance guys, like it used to be in the 80s. Which I don't really feel that the Ironman branded races have ever managed to do at their 70.3 championships. So yeah, exciting times to watch that. So make sure you tune in. It's happening on Saturday the 3rd, isn't it?
Yep, that's right. So June the 3rd, and the place where it's being held in Slovakia looks pretty awesome. So that is the championship from Challenge, which is going to be great. Other news to bring you, Rob, is Alex Yee. We've mentioned him a couple of times. Basically, Rob, when you were a young lad,
yeah,
what was your fastest? What was your 5K?
It was nowhere near as fast as Alex Yee, I'll tell you that. I was just, I never ran 5k on the track. I ran 3k on the track in a shade under 9 minutes was my best ever. So that's like 15-minute pace, but there's no way I could have kept it up for 5k. So, I mean, he's like the English schools cross-country champion, isn't he?
Yeah, sorry you weren't. But I just, add a bit of perspective to this. So basically,
wasn't.
Alex Yee, who is the World Junior Duathlon champion and the European Junior Duathlon champion for this year, he ran 13:37:60 for 5,000 meters.
Unbelievable. That's national standard running at that age, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
But you know what? We've given all this kudos to Ali Brownlee and obviously Johnny Brownlee as well for their strong runs and stuff. And no disrespect to them, but that performance by Alex Yee is a whole other level of running. It's proper national, international standard 5k running for that age group where, Ali Brownlee went and ran 10k on the track and was like in the B race, wasn't he, for the ones that were going to run. So he was an incredible runner in terms of triathletes. But in terms of world-class 10k running, he's not quite at that standard, whereas Alex Yee's got the potential. I mean, imagine trying to run against him in a triathlon, knowing he's run 13:37.
It's absolutely insane. But basically, he's running faster at this age than Mo Farah was running at that age.
Yeah.
So,
stay injury-free, Alex. Put your feet up, mate. Have some Haribo. Chill out a bit. It's a long career in front of you.
Awesome. And then the only other final bit of news, Rob, that I wanted to bring you was that is over in the UK, and Chris McCormack, who was put on the brilliant first edition of the Super League Triathlon earlier this year in Queensland, didn't he? And he posted a picture of like a harbour or marina in Jersey saying potential swim site for Super League Round 2 in September.
Wow. When I read that, I thought it was Jersey in America. I assumed it was like New Jersey. But no, New Jersey, the island.
He's in the UK at the moment.
He's in the UK at the moment. Wowzers. Give us a call, Chris. Come on the show. I'd love to get him on, Hells. It'd be brilliant. If we could split it up into about 4 episodes. He'd be on forever, wouldn't he? Macca's interviews are always legendary.
Yeah, we will see.
Come on.
And that, Rob, is all of our news.
Great. Well, that brings us to the end of our show for this week then. I hope everybody has a fantastic training and racing weekend. How's what are you up to this coming weekend?
This weekend I'm working, but this week that means I have a couple of days off in the week, so I need to get out on my bike, Rob, to get some miles in the legs before Italy.
You'll mainly be riding your bike this week.
Yeah. basically I will mainly be riding my bike and eating Tribe bars and just getting a few more miles in my legs. I watched a film about some women rowing the Pacific this week, and I thought, you know what, that is one hell of a challenge, and in comparison what we're going to try and do is like nothing on a par. They managed to do that. I think we can do what we're planning on doing.
Inspiration, that's what I love.
Yeah,
I'm going to go and run the Snowdon Trail Marathon on Saturday. And I'll be mostly eating Tribe bars too, and carry me Gore running jacket with me in case it rains, so that'll be fun. And then I'm tutoring for the BTF on Sunday on a coach ed course. And do you know what? Before we finish, I've got to give a shout out to Carpet Paul from Nuts for Tri Club.
Oh yeah.
Carpet Paul got knocked off his bike, smashed himself to pieces in Mallorca just a few weeks ago. I think he's still got a broken collarbone, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's waiting for an operation.
And he went and ran 100 miles this weekend. The Liverpool to Manchester and back race, which I just think is the most phenomenal thing I've ever heard in my life. 100 miles. Carpet Paul, you're a legend. Well done.
I would like to second that. There you go, Rob. You'll be absolutely fine running up and down Snowdon. Well, Carpet Paul, take inspiration from that. He's done it waiting for an operation. He's, he won't mind me saying he's a fair bit older than you, and he is one heck of an amazing guy, amazing runner, and just to have done that hadn't he done like the longest run he's done has been like 10k or something?
I think it was 10K.
Over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think the longest run he did was 10k. That man can suffer. And it's really sad for me because I'm about to try and run a 53-mile race thinking it was like the hardest thing ever, and now I'm just going, oh well, there's a bit of perspective for you.
Totally. It's all about perspective, and it's all about the mind, isn't it? We can do it.
Definitely. All right, let's wrap it up then. Listen, everyone, thanks very much for listening. You've been listening to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
I'm Helen Murray.
Listen, have a great week and weekend. Get out there and do something awesome. And we will talk to you again next week when we've got an interview with the fantastic Brian Fogarty. Cheers now.